never break your pride. Don't believe what they tell you. They try to sell you. When dreams died, plans fell through. They can never break your pride. They can never take your pride.
Welcome to The Topics. I'm Adrian Stewart, and with me is
Bunnag, that's my name.
And our guest today is Adrian Klamphaiboon, an independent scholar on human rights and politics.
Okay.
So what are today's topics?
Today's topics are become a Farang's wife and have an easy life.
Thailand on top.
Serial breast drugger.
And mobile goes down.
More jobless people. Fine the taxis.
Bottoms up.
And finally, washing your dirty linen on social networks. Be careful because maybe
someone's watching.
They can never break your pride. Don't believe what they tell you.
Starting off with our topics for today, our first topic, Farang wives. Here's the story. The story goes like this. There was a member of parliament. He was addressing a group of constituents, and he mentioned that Thai wives should actually get Farang husbands.
Thai women.
Thai women should get Farang husbands. Okay.
Right.
Thai women should get Farang husbands because it will give them an easier life. Right? He talked about how they should actually learn English, not at a table, but lying down, and then they can go to a hospital right after that. Okay?
You should learn English lying down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a lot of, protests about his comments.
Right.
Did you hear about this, Achan?
Well, a little bit, but I think it's funny because it shouldn't be something we expect to hear from our member of parliament, right?
So definitely not something you expect to hear from a member of parliament, especially when you have a female prime minister,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. But how could you say that? It's the idea is really the stereotype of women and the stereotype of the Farang male. Like he expects all Farang to be rich and treat women very well. So
yeah, he was also referring to, I think, the policies of European governments where they give a lot of benefits to their citizens. For instance, a free education for life or free medical care and so on and so forth in European countries like Sweden and so on and so forth.
Well, I think you could also turn it around the other way, because I know a lot of Thai ladies, they actively look. Well, I don't know them, but it's a stereotype.
Really?
Okay, I'm making I'm going to make a stereotypical statement here to back up what the honourable gentleman from Samut Prakan said. And he said that what he's maybe saying is that Thai women need to think outside of the box when they're looking for a suitable
but what's
partner,
the meaning
because the stereotypical Thai male that people in this area might be exposed to is normally or can be a philanderer. He's always cheating. He's a drunk. He's lazy. Doesn't necessarily help around the house. Prone to disappearing for days on end, and is not very good with money. And pretty much probably has one or two other wives or bits on the side. So why shouldn't they look for that pot of gold?
Yeah, on
the end
that
of the
point.
rainbow.
Okay. So I mean, there have been stories going around about Thai women who actually marry a Farang, move to a country, and then disappear, and then disappear.
Oh, you mean they get the ticket abroad, they get set up overseas, they learn a little bit of the lingo, and then they move on. And then they jump ship to invariably one of their friends, husband's friend who's got more money or has a cafe or something like that.
But why this MP did not mention about the Japanese male or Singaporean male? What is the issue here? I mean, why only Farang?
Well, he said Germans, right? He said, according to what he said, German and Swedes or Norwegian husbands. Why not English husbands?
The same countries that are probably suffering from financial problems, the EU crisis. Perhaps they've been giving too much money to their people.
Well, he said what he meant. What he was also saying was that you can live for free overseas and you get all kinds of welfare support for free, apparently, overseas. I mean, I don't know about those countries, but what we do know is that a lot of those European nations are in deep financial crisis because so many of them turned into welfare states.
Right.
And also the very tricky question of immigration and the number of immigrants that are able to enter those countries now and leech off the system.
But if we think about this in another perspective, this voice from our member of parliament is a reflection of something that perhaps we are in the country that don't know how to deal with the social welfare of people, and then one MP try to help people by encourage them to marry.
I mean, is it giving them false hope, Ajahn? I mean, addressing a group of 1,000 mainly jobless people and telling them look for a Farang husband. I mean, how likely is it that they're going to find a Farang husband?
Yes, right. Well, I think the problem here is the stereotype of Thai male, as you say, and the stereotype of the Farang. And in this sense, the member of parliament, Kun Sunai, create a utopian world in the Western society that land, if you succeed to marry them, you will have a good life forever.
Is it likely though? Is it true? I mean, in reality, what are you going to do? I mean, who are you going to marry? I mean, you're not going to marry. You're going to marry Richard Branson or Prince Harry, are you?
Right.
Yeah.
The reality is actually you see a lot of Farangs actually wanting to live here rather than bring wives back to their home country. Life here is much easier. More sabai, you know.
But they don't have to work so hard, right?
They don't have to work so hard. It's and it's not cold, nice warm weather.
So they can be more like Thai men. They can drink cheap whiskey, have lots of women.
Not so cheap. We'll talk about it.
And work not so hard as they would in
And force the women to do all of the housework here.
Yeah.
So they know how to be Thai very well.
Okay.
So maybe the Thai women are looking for the Farang husband, but the Farang husband is looking for the Thai wife so they can become more Thai.
Exactly.
So it's actually. But what is that? What would you call that in social development?
Well, the hopeless society.
Hopeless society.
A hopeless society.
Well, if the member of parliament saying this, it is a reflection of something, right?
Is it a reflection of himself, do you think?
Well, perhaps almost like that.
Perhaps we are calling into question the qualifications of this member of parliament. Is he qualified to even speak on this topic?
Maybe it's another little white lie. He just said he said it, but he didn't really mean it. Yeah.
So we are in white lie society.
White lie, more rabble-rousing.
Don't trust what you hear.
With social networks, a lot of things that were said behind the doors gets put online and becomes public now. So we'll come to also that point in a bit. Let's move on to our next topic. We didn't get any gold medals. Thailand didn't get any gold medals in the Olympics. But we didn't get any gold. We were not on top. But right now, the next topic, Thailand on top. A little survey has declared Thai men to be the most, what do you call it? The most...
Achievement?
the most...
Thai men is Thai women, isn't it?
Thai men and women.
Oh.
Men were in first place and women
really?
in second place.
Oh, okay.
Thai men came out top as the most promiscuous. And Thai women came out second in the world
for cheating,
for infidelity.
Okay.
All right. So, wow. Is this something we should be proud of? All right. So a disclaimer: the survey was done by Durex. All right. Durex, as we know, is a condom manufacturer. So people were complaining.
Brands of condoms are available.
Yeah, other brands are available. Yes.
Yeah.
So we were not promoting a particular brand. So the people who complained about this said that this was a survey done by someone who wanted to promote his own products by emphasizing the infidelity and the multiple partners so that you can use more of their products to protect yourself. But, let's talk about this.
Well, sex sells.
Yeah,
sex is fun. I mean, why shouldn't people have more sex, Ajahn?
In some sense,
with multiple partners, as long as you're safe. Why not?
Well, you're a married man, so you...
but you're an Ajahn of social science. I want your opinion on it.
What I see in this poll is, well, I think it's interesting because in some sense, well, it was done by the condom company, but in another way, the meaning of this is they try to denaturalize the idea of sex, try to make it less prohibited, so people can
not
talk
such
about
a taboo.
Yes.
Right?
So reflect another side of the story, another perhaps dark side of the story that people do not believe in a fixed marriage life anymore.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean the whole Thai setup. I mean, Thai women and men clearly like having sex with multiple partners. Thai families often have one or a husband often traditionally used to have minor wives.
Okay.
A wife,
don't
a
know.
wife
You know,
and a
when I-
family,
when-
or maybe a wife and a family
But I
in,
think this
in
is-
Chiang Mai or something. So why is it such a taboo? Why can't we talk about these things? I mean, all Durex is saying, okay, so yeah, as you said, they're trying to bring it out in the open, make it less prohibitive. So why not?
Well,
I mean, what's the big
it-
deal here? I mean, it's in front of our faces. I mean, we've got a thriving sex industry in Thailand, but
Yes.
with something that we can't.
But I don't think
It's like it doesn't exist, but it
our
clearly
male
does
in this
exist.
country has a capacity to have a minor wife.
Yeah.
You need to be rich, or you need to have some money,
No,
right?
you don't. No, you don't at all.
So it's an issue of the middle class or perhaps the upper class.
Is this an issue that there are more men, there are less men in society and more women? So women
Well, I mean, the
need-
story says that 59% of Thai women admit to being, or 59% of Thai women surveyed admit to having cheated on their partner.
That's right.
So I mean, that can't just be one section of society. It's got to be from bottom down, bottom up.
You know, when I first came to Thailand, so this term was strange to me. Gig,
Yeah.
right? This gig is what does gig mean? What does gig mean? I'm not talking about a concert, right? In English, gig is a concert, but in Thailand, gig is
like a temporary partner.
a temporary partner, a playmate perhaps, a companion, and often associated with a sexual companion.
Yes.
And
Right.
this term only exists in Thailand.
Yeah.
So-
So it's okay to be.
So
a
it
gig.
seems to
it's
be
the
a-
acceptable side of cheating, right?
Yes, right. Well, here, but why they don't mention about the affair among the gays or the lesbian? Do they have this problem? I don't know.
Do gays have infidelity issues?
Yes, or cheating their partner,
Okay.
the gay and the lesbian.
I think on the homosexual side, I think that maybe in their community or in their scene, it's not such a thing. It's not such a mental or social issue that they can't have multiple partners unless they're making a specific.
So this new
commitment.
work in the context of the family structure, the idea of the family that need to be moralized, to be clean all the time.
Okay. So you know, I mean,
It's hard to deal with this issue, right?
it's I know. Okay. So let's say this was only a survey, a reflection of a. I don't know if it was a random survey. I don't know where.
I think it's the kind of survey that Durex do every 4 or 5 years. They always
Yes.
come up with one of these wacky surveys.
And it
And-
say the same
Yeah, it
message
always
all the
says
time.
like, oh, you
The
know,
message never change.
someone is doing, you know, more people are doing this kind of behavior or something like that. I don't think anyone should be surprised by those results.
Okay. So a lot
So I mean,
more.
judging by the way some people carry themselves around town, I would say that maybe those numbers are a bit on the low side. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is also the numbers of sexual partners that men have. I mean, it's Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand are among. Oh, Singapore is amongst the highest, right? Malaysia is amongst
Apparently,
the,
yeah, apparently, in terms of.
I mean, you were born in
over their life.
Malaysia,
Okay.
where according to this story, you would have had 3 sexual partners, Adrian.
Okay.
And then you moved to Singapore,
Right.
where you would have had another 16.
Okay.
And now you're in Thailand, where you would have had what? Another 16 or something like that. So that's what, 16, 32.
They didn't survey.
That's
me.
35.
I
That's
did not. I was not one of the respondents to the survey.
35 a good, would you,
Yeah,
Ajahn, is 35 a good number of sexual partners?
No,
to
I
have
think
for a gentleman of
perhaps
his age.
perhaps the 16 partners that the Singaporean guy surveyed there had were in Thailand. Perhaps.
So you had more than that,
Perhaps.
is what you're saying?
Let's move on to the next topic. Since we're
You have
talking
the
about
target
since,
now.
yeah, since we're
Okay,
talking
hang on,
about
no, wait a second. We can't.
why not?
We're gonna. We've talked too long, so we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with another slightly deviant story about the serial breast. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, and we were talking about some interesting issues relating to sex. So let's carry on with the next topic, which is the serial breast drugger. Did you hear about this? The serial breast drugger was this story of a doctor, not you,
Yes.
a doctor in Chiang Mai who was robbed, and he was robbed of his car and his wallet by a girl. This girl was seen accompanying the doctor into a hotel, and then leaving the hotel room 15 minutes later by herself, and then the car and the wallet disappeared. Apparently, the doctor was knocked out by something. It was they said it was a what do you call it, a date rape drug, some chemical that was actually placed on the breasts of this girl.
He sucked the drugs off her breasts.
I would assume so. Yeah, he
That's
probably
what the story
consumed the
says,
drugs in those ways, yes.
So the question really is, why didn't he insist the girl have a shower
Yes,
before
right.
they got down to business?
Okay. So anyway,
Adrian.
so playing safe, hang on, playing safe now is just not enough now, right? When you talk about the commercial, the survey earlier by a condom manufacturer, I guess now condoms should be placed somewhere else now, not just on where you normally use them, but perhaps also on your tongue. But I mean, definitely they should actually, to prevent you from consuming drugs.
So are you suggesting that Durex should develop a
new
kind
product.
of condom, either to place over the breast or
Perhaps,
over your
perhaps.
tongue?
But we can look at it in two
In
ways.
your
Right?
mouth.
There have been so many stories.
condom.
There have been so many stories about date rape drugs, right? Men using them on women, right? There have been stories. Oh, the girl was knocked out. The girl was given something to drink when she was in a pub, and so on and so forth. And then she woke up in bed, and whatever. Also many stories of those. So
Yeah.
are women now getting their revenge? Is this now also related to that story that we talked about earlier of infidelity from women? 59% of women are, not faithful with multiple sex partners.
I don't know. I mean, I just think you have to be careful what you do. I think the moral of the story is, if you're going to pick up, whoever you are, a man or a woman, if you're going to pick up someone to take home, be careful. That's it. I mean,
Well,
I mean, it's also there's many instances where people in bars get drugged, and they also get drugged in the taxi, and then they find themselves sitting on the sidewalk a couple of hours later, completely robbed, or they wake up at home and have lost all their valuables. I mean, it happens all the time, especially in Bangkok.
Yes, I think of it in another way. I wonder why males seem to be very obsessed with that part of the woman. What's wrong with that part?
Well,
Okay. Well, I guess that part is often presented in, in very fit or tight clothing, so it highlights.
it's one
that
of the
point.
key. It's one of the key zones, I think, Achan.
Perhaps male doesn't know how to read or how to understand something inside the woman, like the feeling of the brain or.
Okay, don't look at the physical assets,
Yes.
but this guy was.
Well, this is a
I'm sure-
doctor. It was a doctor
he
who
was-
picked up a lady in a bar or a disco in Chiang Mai, wanted to have some fun, took her to the room, woke up a few hours later, watched iPhone, cars, other
Yeah.
phones are available, gone. Got drugged. Admitted to the police that he was, enjoying the lady's breasts, and then he got.
There was no
knocked.
mention of whether this doctor was married or not. Perhaps he was also one of the respondents to the
Well,
survey.
next time he need to learn how to wet and don't force himself too much.
Yeah, take a shower, man. Take a shower.
No,
Take
and
a
then make
shower.
the lady take a shower
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, he could consider himself lucky that he's still alive.
Some
I
people
think.
got killed in this situation.
It could have been.
Yes.
It could have been worse. He could have
Yes.
been beaten up, or even murdered. So, just lost his car. And it seems that the police, they know.
Yeah, they have
They've
identified. the suspect.
identified. It's a serial breast drugger.
right.
So
She's done it
this
a
is
couple
not
of
the
times.
first time. It's a 26-year-old lady, and she drugged him with a Chinese drug, which the police have identified has been used in several date rape cases. So it's nothing to be sniffed at. It's quite a serious.
It is.
Well,
She's
maybe
a
it should be
criminal.
sniffed
Yeah.
at. Maybe it should be sniffed at
Don't-
before you enjoy the breasts.
Okay.
The best way to avoid the situation is finding someone you really love and doing.
Staying faithful.
Yeah, come
Right,
on. Yes,
okay.
no, yeah, find someone you love. No,
Okay.
that's not realistic. I mean, if you want.
Let's move on to the next topic. Mobile goes down. Right. So, okay. Did you experience this yourself? DTAC, one of the operators here, had an outage for about 61 minutes, so they say last week.
I think it's more than 61 minutes,
I
perhaps
had
2
no
or 3
idea
hours.
DTAC was still.
Really?
I
2 or
use
3 hours?
DTAC.
Okay, so
So it
you
was on and
experienced
off
it
for
firsthand.
2 or 3 hours. Yes.
And this time round, the regulators are saying they will fine DTAC heavily
Yes,
to the tune of perhaps even up to 100 million baht.
But this is not the first time happened with DTAC. So.
That's right. That's right. They've been. I believe this is their 5th time this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is
Wow.
their 5th time. Well, in the last 12 months, it's their 5th
What's the
time.
problem with the network? And why are
So
you
it's
still
some
using?
machines,
Why are you still using DTAC then if it keeps going down?
Because I don't like to change the system.
Okay.
So
Well, you
I
have-
need to
can.
adjust myself
You
now.
can. You
Yes,
can keep
no.
your number.
Yeah, you
Yes.
have mobile number portability now.
But
You can
this-
actually
this-
move
this
to a
case
new
is
operator.
ridiculous because DTAC in terms of the company, the business, is very good. The ROE of the company, the dividend of the company goes from time to time.
So
every
they are a very
year.
profitable company.
Yes.
Are you a shareholder as well?
Some part,
Yeah.
not much. Yeah, but I remember 2 or 3 years ago, the price of DTAC is only about 48 baht. Now it is 80 or 90.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So they have more than enough money to fix the system.
Apparently, if I remember correctly, one of the first problems that they had when the network went down was they were upgrading it. They were in the process of upgrading it. Then there were some issues with the upgrade, and then there was some issue with power failure, and the last one was a failure of some station in Rangsit affecting a few people. Now,
Okay, so it's a maintenance issue.
maintenance issue probably,
It can happen. This can happen.
Yeah, but
I mean,
too often.
if you drive a fancy European car, like many Farangs do, cars break down.
All right, but we're talking about mobile phone here. This is a essential communication tool
Yeah.
used by millions of consumers, foreign and local alike, in Thailand, right? So I think we should focus on quality of service here. We are
do you
paying a lot of money,
Do you remember the old days when you had a pager and
Well,
everyone
people
has a
in this
phone now. I mean,
generation
you
don't
can't
know.
live without your phone now. If your phone breaks down for 5, 10 minutes, an hour, it's like the end of the world. You cease to exist. So I just think that people are taking this thing too seriously.
Admittedly, they make a lot of money, as Achan mentioned, and they are providing a service, and they should maintain a good quality
It's
of
got to
service.
be an uninterrupted 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Yeah,
So-
go down at night at 3 a.m., for instance, if you want,
Yeah.
but don't go down in the
Oh,
middle
I'm
of
sure
the
they
day,
didn't
right?
go down on purpose.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't go down on purpose.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely they didn't
It's
go
not
down
an
on purpose.
intentional thing. It's not a marketing ploy.
The way DTAC deal with this case is quite interesting because they ask the customer to call to
That's right.
some
Customers had to call into a
get
number
a
to get
compensation.
compensation, and then people were complaining they can't get through to
Yes,
that number.
yes.
Why didn't DTAC give a blanket compensation to
Exactly,
everyone
that
and
is
so
the
on and so
case.
forth?
So the way DTAC deal with this is another story that need to be considered.
Yeah, we all know that there are issues with the mobile networks here, not just DTAC. Everyone's got issues. I think the users have grown in such a high volume that the networks may not be able to keep up with
Yeah,
this
I mean,
user.
people complain about AIS.
You
Say
can't-
that
you can't make calls
I
and
mean,
so on
I
and so
use AIS, and my calls regularly drop out after 30 seconds. But I just doesn't bother me. I mean, it's not something that I would.
Perhaps
concern
this
my- I
is,
just
perhaps
don't- I
this is
just-
related to the 3G issue that they are planning to. I mean, in
Do
other
we have
countries,
3G
no,
now?
we don't
So
officially.
why
have
does it say
3G.
3G on my phone?
They're
Well,
actually
sometimes
using-
it's-
they're
and
actually-
it's either 3G or it's Edge.
Yeah, they're using the existing frequencies allocated to them, and they're putting data services on top. Means they're actually overextending the capabilities of the current network infrastructure. So you actually need new bandwidth, new frequency, which has not been allocated officially. So this is causing even further stress on the systems.
Sounds very confusing.
and
So shouldn't
leading
we
to
be
more
going
failure.
to 4G soon anyway?
Step by step, I guess. I
So
think
we don't
3G
have
is
3G
coming.
yet?
No, we don't have official.
gonna have it?
3G. Apparently, sometime this year
Why
we're
don't
gonna
we have it?
This year?
Yeah, apparently sometime this year. No,
Why don't we have it?
it's a long story. We don't have enough time for that story right now.
Just give me like the 3-second synopsis.
Why we don't have it?
Yeah.
I guess the existing laws had to be modified to allow for an auction to take place, and that was not done.
Did anyone conduct a feasibility study on it yet?
A lot.
Yeah? A lot of feasibility studies.
lot.
Okay, a lot of feasibility studies
A
were
ton
done.
of.
And everyone's waiting for 3G. Well, let's hope the mobile networks you know, improve. If not, we will have a lot of men blaming the mobile networks for their phone being off.
But I mean, really, if you lose your coverage, I mean, how many times does it happen? You lose
Too
coverage?
often in a day.
Really?
Too often in a day.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
And through Thai humiliate.
So I use AIS. John uses DTAC. What do you use?
Yes.
AIS. And yours goes down every day?
Well, I mean, I don't get signals. Coverage is not great, man. Coverage is bad. Yeah,
Really?
coverage is bad. Okay, let's move on.
Where are you going? Are you
Let's
going
move
like
on.
underground in the what? Where are you?
Even in the studio, coverage is bad.
In here? Yeah, there's no
yeah.
coverage in here. But
Exactly,
I mean,
see?
walk out the door. You can get coverage there.
Let's move
What's
on to the
wrong?
next topic, Jay. You know, we don't want to make enemies with our providers.
No, they might switch you off permanently.
Yeah, that's right.
Then,
Jobless rates. Jobless rates are up, apparently. The
NESDB,
NESDB, what does it stand for? The National...
Economic and Social Development Board.
Okay, National Economics and Social Development Board said that there were more jobless this year, and this was probably due to the flood crisis they mentioned. They mentioned that the flood crisis last year had affected a lot of factories. Some were closed, some have not reopened, and this has increased the jobless rates. I think the jobless rates are now like, what, 1%? Is that a very high number, Ajahn? 1% jobless rate?
Well, it's better
It's
than
more than that,
many
isn't
countries in the
Yeah,
US.
it's much better than many countries, I'm
I
sure.
think in the US, it's about 7 or 8%.
Okay, so,
In Greece, it is about 10.
all right. So is this news or is this not news?
It is new in some sense, but I think the figure itself is a result of, as you say, the flood. And the sign of economic improvement is on the way. We can say that the performance of many companies is getting much better and better after the flood, like in the semiconductor industry or in, well...
Are we looking at particular groups of, particular demographic of
Yes.
I think they were
people that are losing their jobs?
No,
So it's people that worked in the factories that are losing their jobs because the factories haven't come back online
Factories
yet.
haven't come back online. Some of them haven't come back online. So.
But this is very interesting because when we are in the country that focus on the jobless news, but we don't talk a lot about how to give people
Training?
Yes, or social security system. So jobless and social security system goes hand in hand. If you want to tackle the issue of jobless, you need to create a new form of social welfare or social security.
So that member of parliament that we mentioned about earlier, who
Well,
was
that
talking
is
about social
his
security,
way.
maybe he had a, he was looking at the future.
Yes.
Because the NESDB says that the jobless rates will probably get higher.
Well, I mean, for instance, in construction,
Yes.
if you're building something, if you're building a building or something, it's hard to find workers. Construction companies are having trouble finding manual laborers. Yeah. So where are all these people? But they're buying them in from Burma.
Yes.
Okay, this is interesting.
Coming
now.
from
This
Burma.
was- we
I
are
mean,
coming-
where are where is the hard-working people that help build things? Where are they? I mean, are we evolving as a society that we don't have these people, or Thai people too good to do these jobs now? What's going on?
I don't know, but many factories in some industrial areas like Langsit or Param Song, they hire more workers from Burma and also from Cambodia.
Okay, is that
Because they're cheaper?
Yes,
So where are the Thai people?
50% cheaper.
Okay, so where are the Thai people that would have been
they,
taking these jobs?
they try to create their own life and independent life, like selling coffee or noodle on the road. I don't know why.
Okay, now this is interesting. So I think we raised the minimum wage here, right? And this survey was definitely about Thais. Right? They did not cover the foreign workers. So are Thais losing their jobs to foreign laborers who are cheaper?
Yes.
Are manufacturers, factories choosing to employ cheaper workers? That could be a problem. Right, so the normal solution to this, Jay asked about what happened to the Thais who are not working in factories or construction. Well, they're upgrading themselves, I guess.
Or
They're
would they?
upgrading
No, but would they
They turn
rather?
themselves to the SME business more and more.
Yeah, but you know what?
Is there a collection of them that would rather continue to work in factories or on construction but can't get the jobs now because there's a minimum wage in place that doesn't allow them to
This
reach
is also
down?
affecting, graduates, because the survey also went on to say that graduates, the unemployment rate for graduates actually even higher. It was 1.8%. So the graduates are having
All
problems
those
getting
lazy
jobs.
postgraduates.
The graduates are having problems getting jobs. Now, I've heard stories about this, you know, when the policy for a minimum salary of a graduate was raised to 15,000 baht, and a lot of jobs that were open they were budgeted at less than 15,000 baht. So a graduate had to apply and actually not say he was a graduate, so that he would qualify for the budget that was assigned for the job. So that was one of the ways to beat the
Well, you
system.
have to play the system. Okay, we're going to have to take a break, guys, and we'll come back with this topic again a little bit, because the next story actually leads into this one as well. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about populist policies. Are they or are they not helping Thailand? Don't go away.
Hi, and welcome to the topic. I'm Adrian, and with me is my co-host Jay. Our special guest for today is Ajahn Sirot Khampaiboon, an independent scholar on human rights and politics. Welcome, Ajahn. Fines for taxis. Is this one way, perhaps, to get more money into the government budget? But anyway, let's have a look at this fine for taxis. So now, taxis can actually get fined for not taking a passenger where they want to go. You've stopped a taxi, and you know how many times have you been?
I take taxis almost every day, I would say, and I would say more than 50% of the time I have to ask the first or second taxi won't take me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean I live in Saton area, and I want to go. Maybe I'm want to go to Tonglo to see my friends, or maybe I want to go to Sukhumvit somewhere 26 or something. And around where I live, taxis are really only interested in going to and from Ceylon, because they want to take tourists or people to Ceylon for shopping, and then they want to just stay in that area on that route.
Have you had some problems with
Yes,
taxis?
every time when I go to Ceylon or Surawong,
Yeah.
it's hard to get a taxi. They prefer the Farang.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
But
also
let's not just blame the taxi drivers, okay? Let's look at this now.
Why not?
No, let's look at this firstly.
But I don't think all of the taxi has this character.
Sure. There are selected taxis. I mean, you have problem areas. There are problem areas, all right? So there are problem areas like, instead of just not taking people to destinations, we have stories about Farangs who try to flag a taxi and the taxi is not turning on the meter and charging you a flat rate, 200 baht, 300 baht, 400 baht. That's a bigger problem, I would say.
But this problem happens everywhere. If you go to Bali, in some spot, you certainly experience this problem.
But again, you know, I'm not on the side of taxi drivers, but I mean, you have to look at this. Now, if a taxi drivers change shift. They don't drive the car 24 hours a day. The same car will be switched to another driver, right? So there are certain times of the day where they have to change shift, right? So if his garage is 25 kilometers away, and you are going in that direction, which is 20 kilometers away, and he needs to send his car back to the garage, he can't possibly take you, right? And that's practical, right? That's practical. And then with the traffic jams, he knows what areas that he cannot go to, so he has to be selective. So how will we address this problem? How would taxi drivers be, fined unnecessarily? Would this be a new way for people to abuse the system?
What's the process?
Yeah, what's the process? I don't know. How do you provide evidence to say that this taxi driver didn't want to take you?
I think you mentioned something interesting, because we need to hear also from the taxi driver side.
That's right.
People who discuss this policy is just from people in our class, middle class, or people in the middle part of Bangkok. But what the taxi driver says, what do they think?
That's right.
Yeah,
It's a matter of policy making.
I remember about 3-4 years back, there were stories about you can't flag a taxi on the street anymore. You had to only go to a particular taxi stand
Like
to
a
get a
taxi
taxi.
rack,
Remember? There was supposed to be a taxi stand to get a taxi.
Achariya.
Yeah, the intelligent taxi or something like that. That obviously didn't
People
work.
forgot about it already.
Yeah, because it didn't work. So now, the taxi driver will get fined if he doesn't take you. So whenever you flag a taxi, he will definitely have to stop and break you everywhere. I don't know, it doesn't make sense.
What annoys me in my life on the street is not a problem from the taxi driver, but when people just park in the middle of the junction because they just want to block your way to somewhere, some place.
Ah, okay. Closing roads, for
Yes.
instance. Right.
But why we
okay.
don't mention about it in the discussion of this policy?
Okay. This taxi thing was one of the 13 items that they highlighted as offenses that the police will be very strict about. One including parking on sidewalks, driving in the wrong direction, driving on sidewalks, blah, 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 blah. But there was no mention of
Yes.
people who actually close the road.
And also people who do not stop at the walkway, I think.
The pedestrian crossing.
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to see that one enforced.
Yes. It's never been an issue in this city, right?
On the zebra crossing,
Yes.
right? Do we even have them?
We have probably we never practice, right?
Oh,
So I think the taxi policy is not a sign of class society.
yeah.
It carries some bad image on the taxi driver, but we overlook something, right? Here.
Okay.
Well, taxis by their very nature are there to be complained about. I think in every country in the world, people can
Yeah.
whinge about
Yeah.
taxi
What
drivers.
happens to fines that are collected for traffic offences? Where do they actually go? To the police budget? To the general coffers of the economy? Where does the fines go? Is it used?
Probably the general coffers, isn't it? Because I mean, they're using their road users. The police don't build the roads.
Okay, so it's not
They
stuck
just-
in a
they just
police
administer
department,
them in a
right? So
very
it goes
loose
into,
manner.
into
Yeah.
the public budget fund to be used in the
Yes.
future, right?
Principally, yes.
Principally, yes. Let's hope so, because with all those populist policies, they will need more money, right? We are running out of time, I think, for this break.
Are we?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
going to go to a
so-
break. We will come back with bottoms up. Yes, another issue about taxes and prices of things going up.
Not an issue about bottoms.
No, not an issue
Not
about
right.
bottoms. No. See you later.
They can never break your pride.
Okay, welcome back to the topics. We are going to cover the issue of
Bottom up. Bottoms up.
Tax.
Yeah.
tax on cigarettes and alcohol is due to go up, isn't it?
It's gone up.
It's going up.
It's gone up.
It's
It
gone
has
up.
gone up. Yes.
Already, right?
Cigarettes have already increased, I think, by whatever price it was.
How
I think
much now?
Cigarettes now cost probably about 12 baht more per pack on the average,
Ooh.
right? So that's like about a 12% increase.
But is that a lot for people who smoke? I mean,
Okay, it depends on what the objective of this policy is. If this policy is to actually increase revenue for the tax, then it helps. It gives you more
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
But if you're saying that this is to stop people from smoking, I don't think so. I think people will continue to smoke.
because as far as I know, the government will earn only 10,000 million baht from this tax increase, so it's not a lot of money.
I'm not against the fact that I don't think they have increased any taxes for the last 3 years. So it's about time they actually increase this, But Jay, what do you think?
I think, what does a packet of cigarettes cost now? 80 baht? 70
80,
baht?
90 baht,
Really?
probably. Yeah.
Is that for all cigarettes or just imported
Imported ones.
like a Marlboro?
Imported one.
And how about the local brand?
Probably
also?
cheaper.
Yeah. You don't smoke the local ones?
No. So I am not aware of the prices of the local ones. But cigarettes, smoking is bad for your health. And whether they're imported or local, they are bad for
Well,
your
I mean,
health.
I mean, as a former smoker, I just think that it should be more expensive. Cigarettes should be more expensive because they are really terrible for you.
I think alcohol should be a lot more expensive. I'm glad that this new tax increase has not touched beer and wine yet, okay? Because it's already at the maximum rate. It has gone down to touch the lao khao, the whiskey, the local whiskey,
Okay.
because that's probably the most consumed alcohol by the Thai society.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I've seen people who are drunk as early as 9 o'clock in the morning because they are
Well, they're probably
drinking all
drunk from the night before.
Probably. I haven't yeah. So, I think increasing the price of alcohol is good, but if someone who wants to drink, he will find a way to drink. Perhaps he will get more money by stealing. I don't know. Will it increase?
Perhaps they will buy some illegal cigarette or illegal whiskey
Yeah, I mean, the tax,
from the south.
tax
Adrian.
increase,
Yes.
tax increase on a social development level, it's not going to stop. I mean, people
Never
aren't suddenly
stop.
going to say, "Oh, I'm going to stop smoking," are they?
Never. And the research also find out that it cannot stop people, cannot change their behavior from the tax. People who smoke, people who drink, they prefer
So-
to drink.
If my cigarettes and alcohol is getting too expensive for me, I'm not going to stop.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to buy a cheaper brand.
Find alternatives.
Yes.
You will find alternatives.
Well, an alternative would be a cheaper brand,
Yes.
which might be even worse for me.
Or buy from some illegal source.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that the cheaper brand might be of a lower quality.
Yes.
So in the long run, it's even
It
worse
costs
than my
more
health.
to help them.
So then I'll become an even greater or even larger drag on social services and society, right?
And I think it's funny because in Thailand we become more or less the moralized society. So people who smoke, people who drink have some bad image. So it makes some sense for the government to adjust this policy on them. We never heard from people who smoke or who drink how about they think how they think about this policy.
Well, let's
right?
ask a smoker.
It's got no impact on me in my, on my personal capacity. I mean, it costs more, so I end up paying more.
Doesn't offend you that you have to pay an extra 12 baht a pack of cigarettes?
I'm not happy, but it doesn't kill me.
And you're not going to think, oh God, it's getting expensive.
No, I think a monetary incentive is or monetary disincentive is not the way to actually make someone stop consumption of cigarettes, for instance.
I think the policy was called from many civil society groups like the Foundation for Women, the Protection of Women Rights Foundation. They believe that this policy will not, for sure, that this policy cannot stop the behavior of people like you in in 40 or 30. But they hope this. Sorry, 20. But this could stop the entry of the newcomer in the circle of smoker or.
Could be a barrier.
That is the attitude on this issue. They hope to prevent new people, young people from smoking, from drinking.
Okay, that I support, totally. I don't want to see young people growing up smoking or drinking. Definitely not drinking for sure, because when they drink and they drive,
So rather they were smokers.
no.
than drinkers?
I mean, when they, if they drink and they drive those cars which are so cheap now because of populist policies, they'll get into a lot of trouble. We have talked about this before.
Yeah, and the civil society group, they believe that the more people smoke or the more people drink, they are prone to be more violent.
I'm sure drinks make you a lot more violent
Yes.
with bar fights, blah, blah, blah.
And
blah,
maybe
so
more
on and so forth.
promiscuous as well.
Perhaps that's why we had so many promiscuous people around, because alcohol was cheap. So maybe next year's survey, Thailand won't be on top. Let's go on to the next topic.
Be on fire.
Okay. Next topic. Very interesting. Social networks. Everyone's on Facebook. Everyone's playing with this stuff. But social networks actually is a level playing field. The level playing field meaning things can be bad and things can be good, both at the same time. So this case of an actress, what was her name? Ploy or something, right? There was a story on, I think, Instagram, where an event organizer company was complaining about the attitude of a particular actress who was not professional. No names were mentioned, but quickly following that story, this actress actually, started replying, and there was a whole series of stuff.
So Ploy accepted it was her.
I guess she responded. But it opened another can of worms here, because what's happening on social network is a big can of worms. Have you watched the videos? Do you see her videos, or
Yes.
do you see her on news? Yes. So it's worse. So what's happening now is she would try to divert the topic away from her behavior and blamed it onto some issues about cheating, I guess.
Yes.
Right? And she's talked about, she was paid 150,000 baht, okay, for a 2-hour modeling assignment. 150,000 baht for a 2-hour modeling assignment, right? And she was complaining that she did not get the full amount. She said that she got 4,500 baht less.
Oh,
So-
well, that's a shame.
Yeah, she got 4,000.
That's hard.
She got
That's-
3%.
that's harsh.
She
That's
got
very, very
3%
harsh,
less.
yeah.
You know, and that opened
Okay.
another can of worms.
Yeah.
Ajahn, what happened with it?
Well, I think it speaks a lot about the tax system here, right? People try to find some illegal way out of the system.
Right,
And Nong
so,
Proi is
you know.
smart enough to mention it.
Yeah, she's not smart enough to mention it, you mean? Yeah, you know. So what happened was, I think she actually got someone else to pick up the tax deduction. So apparently, instead of her being listed as the person who received the income, someone else was listed.
used
A
some-
77-year-old man was listed as the guy who got this income.
Yeah, the guy named Tavisa.
Yeah, and the guy was named Tawisa.
And,
So-
and the reporter asked Nong Proi whether she knows Mr. Tavisa or not. Nong Proi said, perhaps he could be my mother or some people in my company.
Okay, so you know, this was a big can of worms. So now, I think she's being investigated for potential tax issues.
And the director of the government already said that if Nong Proi really say what she said, what she said, it is wrong. It is illegal. So she is in the problem now.
Well, she either did it or she didn't do it.
Well, she said she
And
did.
she went to a job, a
Yes.
modeling job, and she got paid 150 grand. And
there was a
the
tax
tax
deduction.
receipt is issued in someone else's name. Then it's black or white. It's not, oh, I did it by accident.
She presented the check, and she presented the tax receipt
Yeah.
as evidence that she was cheated. She said it was cheated. But in the end, that
But actually, it was
evidence
in someone,
Yeah.
turned out the
someone
other way
else's
around.
name.
Yeah, the evidence
So
turned out
no,
the other way around.
we were all cheated then, right?
Apparently
We
so.
were cheated.
Yeah, so you know,
John, we were cheated. We were cheated
Exactly.
because we're all taxpayers. and,
Exactly.
you know that whatever it was, an extra 5% that she would have had to pay. Whatever
And I
it
think
is.
people feel more uncomfortable about it when Nong Proi posts her picture with the son of Somchai Nik Engtakul, right?
Who's that?
Who's that?
The husband of Thai movie star.
Uh-huh.
I forgot his name already.
Okay.
Pek. I don't. Yeah. And he said, "Stop annoying me and my friend."
Oh.
So people think she
so
tried
she's
to
showing power.
exactly.
That's right.
Okay.
So that's again another bad thing to do. It's a reflection of how people with connections or people who know someone can actually escape certain things. So now that she's publicized all these things and it's on the social networks and spreading like wildfire, picked up by main media and us, I don't think she's going to have a good time now with the
And
tax
Well,
department.
yeah. I mean, you can't really go and chase her down in the shopping mall and shout at her. You probably get shot. But people can anonymously criticize her online. So the point is that social networks.
Good and bad.
Well, we were talking about taxes actually, but yeah, social networks is a good
It
way
all
to
got-
reach
it-
out.
yeah, it all got blown
Yeah.
up on the social
Yeah.
network.
Yes. So, well, if you become a public figure, you need to accept the cost, right? You want to be famous, you want to earn more money than ordinary people, you need to accept this life. You
Yes.
cannot complain.
Yeah.
No,
That's
I-
why
I-
you get paid 150 grand for 2 hours
You know,
modeling.
I think this further alienates the society.
Exactly.
It further alienates the society. It shows the normal people, hey, some people are making a ridiculous amount of money. You know, some people watching the TV programs say, what? You make more than what I make in a year, for instance.
In a life.
In life? No, in a year, and you're doing that in 2 hours, and you're complaining, and then you've been cheating on taxes? Oh my God.
And then Nong Proi said she know high-ranking people, so stop
Yeah, and
annoying
say,
me.
I know high-ranking people, so you know, don't come after me.
Yes. Don't
And that's
bother
even
me.
worse.
I'm not saying anything else then. She knows all these high-ranking people. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yep. We better stop here then.
Yeah, move on.
Well, we're out of time, so we hope you enjoyed our session today. So we'll catch you again next week. But don't forget, you can see us online at facebook.com/thetopics. So thank you very much to Achan Sirot for joining us today. I hope you had fun.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so we'll see you again next week. Thank you.
It's one life. Don't believe what they tell you. They try to sell you. When dreams died, plans fell through. They can never break your pride. It's time to regulate.